Dear Heavenly Father, we just ask you to be with us, Lord, as we make decisions for the city, Lord, and we just ask you to keep a hedge of protection around our city, Lord. Just be with each individual here. These things we ask in your holy precious name. Amen. Missy, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll go ahead and call our meeting to order now that Paul is here. Gesture. We'll start with our roll call. Misty Cottle.
Here.
Jeff Upton. Here. Ken Throgmorton.
Here.
John Collins. Here. Kara Hungate.
Here.
Don Rollins. Here. Joe Tower. Here. Dina McKnight is absent. City Attorney and City Clerk present. Before we move into the adoption of our agenda, I would like to amend it to add resolution number 2019-03 to that. Did you give everyone a copy of that, or Kristen? Okay. So I'd like to add that under new business to item 4.
I'll make a motion we do that.
Okay. Second. We have a motion second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, we need the approval of our minutes. We have 2 meetings. We'll approve our March 12, 2019 regular meeting minutes first. Are there any changes that need to be made to those? Do we have a motion?
Make that motion.
We have a motion second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. Next is our meeting minutes from March 26th, public hearing. Do we have any adjustments to those? Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. Next is our public forum, where we open up the floor to the public to address the council for anything you would like. We would ask that you limit your comments to 2 minutes per individual. Would anyone like to address the council tonight? All right, we'll go ahead and close public forum. Next, we'll move into our business reports, and we'll start with the Planning Commission. Mr. Walter Cornish.
Good evening. So, again, not a whole lot. We had Jeff Hawkins down from Regional Planning. He gave us a new draft for a possible zoning ordinance, and so that'll be good. We can probably start moving ahead with compiling that to see what we can put together, and then move on to then hopefully a new map, so we can do it all in one swing. Let's see. We lost Martin Tolles Schachter. And so we're down to missing 2 seats again, open 2 seats. Although one has to be, only one can be outside the city limits now instead of both. We have 1 member outside now. And so our next meeting is Thursday, the 18th. And really, other than that, it's just moving ahead with getting our new zoning ordinance together. If you have any questions?
Any questions for Walter? I would add, while Walter's still here, that there will be a memorial meeting on April 16th at 6 p.m. And is that going to be here, Ann? Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Walter. Next, our library director, Shannon.
So to follow up, Jan, I think you asked a question last time, so to update you on my last note regarding patron registrations, unused accounts will begin to expire every 4 years. So the county director just did a sweep, and she's going to try and do this now every November, so you prompted a good question. So speaking to each of your accounts, Misty, you have an up-to-date account, and Dana, who's not here. Don and Joseph, please see me. You're not in trouble. But I think I want to confirm your accounts. And then others, I did not find an account on you. So if you want, I brought some library cards and some small forms. And you're welcome. We can do that tonight right here if you'd like to have a library account. Construction began April 1st at the library. We packed 12,000 items and 320 boxes worth of things. The library is temporarily downsized, but still very functional as far as serving as a place for item checkout and meeting space. We do have another report of weeding. You'll see these start to slow down. Tonight's is books and also some unusable technology that we had that had been stored there for a very long time that was very outdated. Considering with some of the books we've been giving to friends of the library, the Easter egg hunt is this Saturday, and we could set up a booth to give some books away at the Easter egg hunt. So if that's approved, maybe instead of donating this round to the friends, we could give to the kids that come to the Easter egg hunt. And we'll be at the high school cafeteria this Thursday to promote our teen volunteers, still promoting teen volunteer programming in hopes that we get a nice group of volunteers for our summer program and to continue to help us move as the expansion progresses. So any questions for me? Okay.
So Shannon, I had one question.
Yes.
I'm glad to see the customer counter back in the report.
Yes.
My question was, does that need to be divided by 2, that number you gave us?
No, it only counts for 1. As you pass one way, it only counts 1, so not divided by 2. It's a special counter.
Just coming in. Not
So you've
going
got
out.
66 people a day coming into the library, roughly?
If staff's coming in, if Paula comes in, people check in, then that is more. But yeah, approximately right now we see that. Some
Wow.
weeks are slower. Again, spring break, I saw the numbers up. We've been doing daily totals as well. So that's kind of the next step could be, well, are we getting heavier traffic Monday, Tuesday? Not as much Thursday, Friday, starting to really see where, when our busier time is. But yeah, divided by that for the month, it would be approximately that number.
I had no idea there were that many coming in per day. Yeah.
And that could be, not necessarily for checkouts, but we often have people that just come in to use the back table for all kinds of things, which is really neat to be able to provide that space. And additional just computer use popping in and out as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
Any other questions? Thank you.
thank you.
Is Pauletta here? We heard from Pauletta?
Her son's back in the hospital.
Okay. Any questions concerning the court? Okay. We will skip the court report then. Police Department, Chief Nelson.
I want to apologize to all the YouTube people out there. I guess I've messed up the meeting. The last several meetings I moved this way. It takes the camera off of you guys. And they don't appreciate that, so I'm sorry.
YouTube movement.
Yeah. We had 3. You know why? Because I hold my report down here.
Yeah.
We had 387 service calls, 114 citations, 9 in Greenland, with 67 warnings. We were up a little bit in arrest. Had 5 arrests for other agencies. Some things I wanted to point out. I wanted to thank Josh Harper from Greenland. He donated $1,250 to Chloe for a heat sensor. So if something goes wrong with the air conditioning in the car, the siren goes off and the windows roll down, so she'll have a way to go out. I thought that was pretty nice of him. We also got our JAG grant for $2,300. That'll be in sometime soon. And the vehicle, we called on that today. It's the 8th week. They said 6 to 8 weeks, and he responded they won't be building it until April 22nd, and it will be sometime in the middle of May, possibly. But I will give you guys another update on the training and stuff next month. I've kind of started doing that every other council meeting, so I'm not just beating you guys down with tons of things in the packet. Is there any questions for me?
So I have one. What is NVA?
Motor vehicle accident.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else?
I had one I was going to ask about too, but
Yeah.
I can't find it.
You probably don't want to ask it.
I know, I was going to ask though. That's okay, I'll ask him sometime when I just see you.
Now, if we have time, I can go through each one of these if you like. You're good.
That's okay, we're good.
No, I said,
After the meeting, go
Yeah,
see.
just
I saw
come
that
see me and
Officer
I'll
Goggins.
explain what it is more.
I saw that in the school report. I was curious what that was.
Yeah, that's an accident. Probably, did it occur at the school? Was it outside?
You never know about him.
Yeah, that may,
Anywhere.
he's pulled some double duty here lately too, so. Run here and there, we've had some on vacation.
It was either the Dollar General one or maybe the head-on collision. I was on my way to class. I don't remember that.
Any other questions? Thanks, Chief.
I am though, I saw here that there was a bomb threat and a school shooting threat in Westport, really.
We are handling those a little bit different right now. Yeah, we had a bomb threat, but those were social media, meaning Instagram. A kid made it. We found out who the kid was in what, a matter of about 30 minutes, an hour.
The bomb threat was just stupid joke.
Okay.
As he posted it, he took it down, people saw it and started spreading.
Right.
We immediately identified him. Of course, we had everybody, we had the FBI, almost everybody was notified.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And so we had lots of support, but we immediately knew that was. And nobody was hurt, nothing crazy happened. So
Right.
they did give us a school punishment. And then the shooting threat was I believe that was Instagram too. So that's another kid that's got some serious issues. He's currently not in the school getting some improvements.
And of course, we take everyone seriously. But in the very beginning, kids started to use it as a way to, I can get on Instagram, make a fake account, and we all get dismissed,
That's right.
get out of the next
Yeah.
couple periods.
I
So,
wondered if it was something like that.
no, all of them are social media based, and it's just coming.
It's still disconcerting to
It
see
is,
it on
right.
paper.
Next is Public Works, and Isaac isn't here tonight. We have his report. Are there any questions? I was, in our meeting Thursday, I was excited that they are already using that camera and identifying spots in our sewer system that we're getting infiltration, and they're starting to implement plans. And I think, Nick, you're going to speak to that a little bit. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You can give us the sewer report, right?
I don't have it in front of me. Though.
Well, you have your report
I have
now.
my report.
That'll suffice.
I definitely won't go through all that there. But no, Isaac did say, I've been talking to him about the camera, and it's definitely already paying for itself. I mean, like he said, they found 4 leaky taps already along McKnight Street. Found another area that's either a hole in the pipe or another tap. He's got to rig up something new, like a skid, so it can get up above the water level so you can see what's going on. But we're already finding several culprits just in the first few days of using it. So that'll be how quick can we get it fixed and keep finding other areas. But I think he's got a good game plan on what all he's going to look at before he starts doing the work. Because may as well, while you're in one area, identify everything you can and then do it all at once.
And he's actually, so he's taking that video and recording it at a meeting. He's actually going to put that up on the TV just so we can see what he's looking at, what kind of infiltration problems we're having, since we have access to the TV down here.
Yeah.
You too.
Yeah, me too. But, that's update on his end and on our end. I mean, we've been doing quite a bit the past month. I mean, you can see my summary there. I mean, the big thing, we had our public hearing, a couple weeks ago. So we're wrapping up the environmental report and facility plan. We'll be adopting the facility plan by ordinance tonight, so we can get that finalized and submitted. The big push has been easements. Been getting appraisals done, letters sent out. I know Cassie was going to send out another batch today, and I'm about to load up the appraiser with about 6 or 7 more appraisals that'll get us close to having them all in there, at least getting valued. And then the next 2 months are going to be fun.
And then I noticed you're rerouting the line a little bit to get us to keep on some government property.
We are. We met about 2 weeks ago. We went and met with Drake Field, with the airport manager. And surprisingly, they're very accommodating to the project. I mean, they're City of Fayetteville owned, but they recommended we move the alignment onto more of their property to avoid a couple easements over there by the salvage yard, which I thought was gracious of them. And we found a route where we could do that. So we've worked that into the design. which is great news.
That's them digging out there, isn't it? At the airport,
No,
close to the.
that's a different project. They're doing like some sort of runway project out there right now. But it was a good meeting because we talked through the requirements. We'll be on airport property, and we have some rules we'll have to follow as far as construction and you know, what the contractor can and can't do, how they access this site. So we figured out all those requirements, and it's not going to be as significant as we originally thought too. So it's good news there. But yeah, we're moving fast and furious ahead there. Still working with the Department of Heritage on a few design-related issues. Talked to A&RC this morning, and they said they will step in as needed. Their director knows the Department of Heritage director. If we're getting high-centered, they can. He said he can facilitate getting that moving forward. So I think we might be calling on him in the next couple of weeks to get that going. But been coordinating with Fayetteville, met with Washington County. Everything's going good there, and really just moving at light speed, trying to get design submittal submitted by end of this month to Health Department and the state for initial review and get that process started. So, do you have any questions for me?
Got the answers to this report. It's all there.
Yeah. All right.
No questions for Nick? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks.
I would go ahead and point out, though, in Isaac's report, that group, which I know everybody in the city helps everyone, but they've done a lot of work in the past month between the bridge work,
Which they're doing awesome on.
Are they? Great.
They are.
And that's
Coming
coming,
driving across it.
that's coming right along. They're
Yes.
starting to reach out to get bids for the overlay on
They're
that.
pouring the top on.
Shannon, I think, is about killing them with moving the library books. So, and throw in the camera work that they've already started. So that crew has really been busy guys the past month, so.
I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
Water loss is about science. We've seen it a long time. Is it one break or multiple, or do you know?
That I don't know. I was hoping you would know.
Well, I will the next time.
You know, he has that one leak that he has listed there, and I don't know if that was the culprit for all of that, for it being so high or not. And so what Joe's referring to, water loss is at 36.67% for the past month. What we shoot for is 20%. 20% is the equivalent of zero water loss. Is that right?
Pretty, yeah. You can get 20, you're doing good.
To give you an idea, Fayetteville is at around 45 to 50 on average. So we shoot for 20. This month we're up at 36. And actually, if you look back over the past 3 months, we've been up. But it's been one leak after another. So
Maybe those taps.
maybe.
You said there's 5, didn't you say 5 taps?
Those are
That are
the sewer
leaking.
taps that were leaking,
Okay.
that they just same different, you know, with water. I mean, older pipes, you're gonna have some leaks, for sure.
And I think in his report, maybe when I talked to him, but he is scheduling a group to come down and do some leak detection in the city, so. Any other questions concerning?
Smoke, one more thing about the smoke.
Yeah. Yeah, I assume that's what they'll do, is put smoke in, is that what they do, Nick?
For the water loss
Yeah.
protection? You know, I'm not sure how they do that.
Heath, it's actually a listening device, but they came this week.
Oh,
They didn't find any leaks at all in the main lines, and that's all they can look at. So he found nothing, which means if we have leaks, they're in service lines. So Isaac said the guys are basically gonna have to just start going meter to meter and trying to find them that way. But that 36 probably did include the one big leak that they did fix, so
okay.
maybe that'll make a little bit of difference for next month. But Western came this weekend, they did not find anything in the main lines.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions concerning water sewer? Next, Parks Director Harrison.
Just have a couple things I want to point out that were in the minutes that were in the packet. One, most of y'all probably have noticed, we got our asphalt repair done at Riverside Park, and the restriping. It turned out really nice. It's also going to help the officers on parking issues down there as well, but it turned out really nice. They also did some additional striping they did some sealing of some of our newer asphalt at Carter Park, as well as did some striping down there. And we also added pickleball lines to our tennis courts. Don't ask what pickleball is. I could tell you, but I'm not going to explain it the way it was explained to me. It is a little smaller, slower version of tennis that people that aren't as active and maybe can play a little easier than tennis. So that was brought to me through actually the East program at school about doing that. And I've been working with them, and they're helping purchase some equipment and different things like that as well. So just something else to add to our courts down there. The Easter egg hunt, it is scheduled for this Saturday. We're working with Sikh Church again on that. With the weather, there is a chance. We're looking at that, the forecast, chance that it might get postponed or moved, but we don't know yet. I talked to Jordan, who's a pastor at Sikh Church today, and we're going to look at and try to make a decision probably Thursday if we have to do something different there. But right now it is scheduled for Saturday, 11 to 1 down there. Some of Chief Myers' volunteers are going to help us a little more with traffic and parking as well, because that was quite an issue last year. So, and then also the Arbor Day celebration and tree planting. I've been speaking with Jennifer Ogle on that. We've kind of had some. She has overseen and organized that in the past, and she's helping me with that. And we've had some issues trying to get that scheduled, but she informed me that it would probably be better as far as the tree planting goes if we did that in the fall anyway. So that's probably going to get postponed to the fall. We'll set it up in October or something like that, late September, October, in that range more than likely. But if we are going to do it, it'll either be sometime this month or in fall. That's the best I've got on that right now. More than like it's fall, because I am busy right now. And she said it'd be better to plant it in the fall anyway. So that's about all I've got. I've just been working on ball fields, and high school's been playing down there. Several teams practicing. My games actually start next week. The league games, as far as that goes, I say my games. The league games start next week, so it'll be a lot busier down there as well. But there's a lot of activity down there right now. So, anything else?
Any questions?
I don't have any
comments? You guys are way too quiet. You guys are quiet.
You'll ask questions. We'll leave it to you.
So, Chad, I was excited to see the other business in your report. Didn't see that. The Parks is looking at there's some considerations. I'm not saying we're doing it. But,
Yes. And it's been discussed off and on for quite some time, but I think we're finally all in agreement with the committee that needs to be made into a parking lot.
Go ahead and inform everyone else too, because they don't all have.
We have an overflow parking it started as an overflow parking, but basically it's just parking, and it's the big open field grass area there to the right as you go down the new asphalt driveway. We've had discussions a lot about this over the years since I've been here, about making it a parking lot, paving it, graveling it, something. Some of the committee members have been opposed to that because they wanted to use it for future, possibly a soccer field or other ball fields or things like that. That's great, but if there's nowhere to park now. So if you add more ball fields, or you add soccer fields, or you add some other kind of something that's going to even create more activity down there, you got nowhere to put them. So I think we're finally all in agreement that just needs to become a parking lot, and we'll work with North on future ideas and expansions and projects. So that's what we're looking at as well. And TJ's also brought up the fact of the original plans years ago had an amphitheater, and we were kind of revisiting that. I don't know so much as an amphitheater as maybe some kind of an outdoor stage or something where we could hold. It would be good with our 4th of July event possibly, and maybe other music in the park and different things like that. So there's some things we're looking at, considering moving forward.
Ms. Fabione said that she loves the Riverside Park stripe. Parking lot looks awesome.
Well, good. Yeah, you can't miss it if you drive by. It stands out right now, so. You know, we added that striping a few years ago. The asphalt, we've just kind of added to it as we go, and we see what we need, but then the asphalt was really in some bad shape. They filled cracks and resealed it and got it back up. It needed some attention, so it looks good. So.
Anything else for Chad? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Chief Myers?
Try to drag us out as long as I can, so we don't get done too early. I like seeing the police officers wear our shirts, kind of improve their status in town a little bit, you know? Appreciate that.
Everybody wants to be a fire.
Everybody wants to be a cool kid, you know? So, really, not a whole lot. We've got 5, I don't want to say new guys, but additional people that we run through the EMR class right now. Happened to be putting one on at Boston Mountain. It was free to us. We had books. It's right there close, so went in and sent them. So far, I think they're all doing pretty good. Hope they stay that way. So that'll just help us be able to respond to, better medical calls, more people. We had a big fire on the interstate, vehicle fire that made the news. It was impressive. I don't get into details about that call, but thank God nobody got hurt. All I can say. It was bad. I don't know if any of you saw the big truck fire that was in South Arkansas. Truck caught on fire, hauling ammonium nitrate. Caught on fire. Line didn't disconnect, I don't know. But anyway, it blew a 15-foot deep hole in the road. We have just as bad, if not worse, stuff hauling right up and down our interstate. So I think just this particular stuff is a evacuation of half a mile. So you can imagine me and Travis and Chief Nelson and Justin, we're trying to evacuate half a mile around here. Think about how much that would be, but it's kind of FYI. I'm sure everybody saw the big smoke plume coming up here a week or two ago from Ozark. I wish we could control stuff like that, but we can't. Best thing to do is really basically telling the public that if they would check our Facebook page, we try to post that stuff where they know where the smoke's coming from. Our phone rang off the hook. I think the last phone call Travis got was like 11:30 that night. I don't know. Anyway, so I know this won't make YouTube beforehand, but we're in a real high fire danger for the rest of this week. Winds will be blowing a lot, so we're going to discourage any burning, but in the future it's going to happen again. So please call your local fire departments. To anybody watching this or here, check the conditions, make sure it's favorable. So time of year again for motorcycle wrecks. We've already had 2 this week, so pretty weather. Be cautious, look at them. They're not watching us a lot of times, so definitely watch out for them. So far, it's been a crazy month. We, on an average of about 3.5 calls a day. I know that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but then again, I think it was Monday, on the 2nd, we ran 7 calls by 5 o'clock. We got 7 calls in the book. So another day on the 8th, we had 5 calls in the book. So it gets pretty stretched out. I don't know if most of you may know, but if you don't, the little green area there on our map, that's our coverage area. At one time, we were the largest volunteer fire district coverage area in the state. Covers 92 square miles. So that's impressive that we have that big of an area and we're still able to cover it in the, I tell you last month, 7 to 10 minute response time in the rural area. So, I got to kudos to my guys for being able to keep up with that. So we got Growing God's Kingdom coming up tomorrow. Going to be over there. Hopefully it's good and warm. We're going to squirt kids with water hose, with fire hose. As Chad said, we're going to try to help out the sheriff gun if they have it. So elementary field day's coming up, which is always fun. So now they don't have a police department to stop at, so I graciously invited them to come here, put it on here, so we don't have to listen to them yell from down there how good the police department is. So we're going to try to do it all here just fine. So, but other than that, guys, that's really all I've got. Unless y'all have any questions.
Any questions for the chief?
Super. Thank you.
I would, thanks, Chief. I would encourage everyone to have a look at that map, because it has.
It's 99% correct. You know, there's things that change, so forth, here, but it's just 99% correct.
But if you look at the coverage area of a Fayetteville Fire Department, it's much less
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
than what a West Fork Fire Department's
You
covering.
get that in the automatic aid area, Boston Mountain, Strickler, White House that we have, and Fayetteville. Starts growing quickly.
Yeah, it's amazing the area that
You
they're
run
covering.
3.5 calls a day, you just, you know, it never fails, it's gonna get farthest reaches up your universe.
All right, thank you, sir. Christie?
I put lots of line on the income and expense reports this month. But I will say the majority of those are all seasonal expenses, so I'm not very concerned about them. If you look on my report, there's 3 departments that are basically over budget. The rest of them are way under budget. And those 3 departments that are over budget, like I said, most of those are seasonal expenses, so I'm not too concerned about them. Is there anything in specific that he may have a question about that was on there?
Any questions for Christie about anything?
You didn't do anything?
Nope.
Well,
I've got a stock.
Yeah, did you not see the office expense?
That's right.
All right, thanks, Christie. All right, we'll move into our new business. First up is Kevin Gardner from Inland Waste.
Good evening, folks. Before the weekend, I sent out a PDF format. I hope everybody got that. I mean, the citizens as well. Pretty detailed, a lot of information. Wanted to kind of highlight some information tonight and answer any questions you might have and hope to gain your support. Just a quick note, you saw my business card I handed out and see Inland Waste, but my business card says Orion Waste Solutions on it. Just so you know, that's a doing business only. We're rebranding. Our company has locations in Florida, Georgia, Wisconsin, and in Arkansas, and all of them have done business under different names. And here we do Inland Waste Solutions. In Florida, it's under Bobcat or Russo & Sons. So to make it easier for us as we continue to grow, we just kind of put it under one flag, under Orion Waste is the name they came up with. They also had another investor join into our group, and that was an opportunity for us to do some things and revamp and just kind of rebrand. So it doesn't change anything legally with our contracts or anything. It's just a name and change only. Really, the only thing you'll see difference is eventually you'll see branding on the truck change and branding on some of our employee uniforms change. And that's really about the extent of what you'll see going on as far as the branding piece of it and the name there. We do have a couple new trucks that are coming into the market. You'll see those coming into your neighborhood real soon. So those are, we've received 4 of those trucks. 2 are slotted for this location. So they should be in by the end of April. We're doing some final touches to them right now, branding them now. Just had them painted, made sure everything was looking good, touched up. So we should have those out to you by May 1st and see them in your neighborhood. So I'll let you know what that piece of that's going on. Tonight I come to you because generally we come annually for our contract a normal CPI increase, and that's contracted at 3%. We're not asking for anything higher than 3% there based on the contract. However, we are coming to you because we've had some unusual charges from the landfill that we do not control. The contract allows or stipulates that we must take the waste to a landfill. Waste Management controls the landfill, therefore they passed a price increase on to us beginning January 1st of 2019. Our rate per ton on residential waste went from $28.42 to $33.90. So pretty big increase in that area. The other major factor that's going on right now, and you've probably seen globally or hits of it on CNN and different news releases, is that recycling is in kind of a state of emergency right now. We used to ship a lot of product over to China and in the Middle East, and a lot of those communities in those global countries are no longer taking our recyclables. They're tired of seeing the contamination and the trash that's going along with it. So that's creating an influx in the commodity, and therefore you're seeing the price drop dramatically. The last report I saw was cardboard, which is generally pretty stable from time to time went from $65 a ton last month to $35 a ton. And if you talk to most recyclers, anything under $100 a ton, they cannot make money at it. You'll see cardboard backing up everywhere. Since it's a commodity, it's going up and down. And what's happening now is these recycling processors, where we take their commingled recycling so they can sort it, are now trying to find ways to levelize their income throughout the year because they cannot depend on the profits from selling the product once they get it sorted and shipped. So the profits are no longer there. So now they're having to find ways to continue their business and continue recycling. Mark Recycling is the only game in the area that basically takes commingled recycling. And what they've done now is imposed a $55 per ton fee for every ton that we take across the scales in our commingled recycling. And last year, at the first year, we were at zero. We were in it. We had a nice little tipping fee of zero. So we went from $0 to $55 just by January 1st of 2019. And they're now paying $55 moving forward. That rate's going to fluctuate each month based on the commodities they sell up and down. So we won't be coming back to you every month and asking for those. We'll take a look at that annually. We'll figure out if it profits, recycling turns around, then we'll be able to increase that fee as it relates to the recycling. If we see it continue to go up, we may have to come back next year and ask for another increase on the recycling piece. So that's between our contract, between us and Mark Recycling. So what we're asking for tonight, and the breakdown, if you have it in front of you, is basically for somebody with a trash or recycling container, the crate would have been $13.91 is currently now the price. What we're asking for is $15.69. 42 cents of that is the CPI, which is in the contract, the 3%. The 36 of that per household is for the rate increase at the landfill. And how we kind of adjusted those rates is we took a look at what we picked up in the city of West Fork only. The trucks that run your city go directly to the landfill. There's no other cities collected in during that. So we're able to take a look at your actual tons that you disposed of last year, what we paid at $28.42, and then what we would have paid at $33.90 moving forward. And that's how we determine that, and divide it by the number of residents in each different department or services providing to them, whether it be a 96-gallon cart, bag, and we based it on that. So we'd see an impact of 36 cents per household for the tonnage on the landfill. The big one is the $1 per household per month for the recycling. That's how much it's impacted. That $55 is impacting every resident. So the total increase would be $1.78 if you have both the trash and the recycling. If you have just the trash only, the contracted rate, current pricing is $11.85. It would go to $12.63, so 78 cents more a home. The senior rate service would go from $9.79 to $11.57. The senior rate trash only would go from $7.73 to $8.51. The low volume per bag would go from $1.55 to $1.72, and that would be up 17 cents per month. The additional garbage or recycling cart for those people that have higher volume would go from $6.18 to $6.96 per month per cart. If I remember right, there was only roughly 30 or so of those customers out there, if I remember right, off our numbers. I'd have to go back and review those with the water department. I think that's what I saw in the last number count. And if anybody's interested in the yard waste bags, they go from $2.32 to $2.59. And we also took a price increase in the compost facility. We used to pay $17 a ton for anything we took to the compost facility at Waste Management, which is now $25. So we took a pretty good shot in the arm on the yard waste as well for that piece. So that's kind of the request from you tonight, is to take a look at, in addition to our normal 3% increase that we normally have, these additional items of 36 cents for disposal and the $1 for the recycling, so the additional $1.36, which is outside the normal 3% increase we'd be asking for. Can I answer any questions?
So I understand this. You're asking for this increase now, plus your original contract increase later.
No, what we're asking for is the normal CPI now. I mean, we've got May 1st in here. I think we generally put it through in July, I think is what the language was, and we're fine with that, if that's what we need to make sure we stay with consistency there. So we're asking for the 3% in addition to this 36 cents and this $1 per home for the two additional.
So the 3% plus.
Yes, sir, 3% plus the other two. The 3% would, like I said, is contractually pretty much set up to where it automatically goes in effect every year. just so you know, in our industry, from November to November last year, we were 7.2% increase just year over year. So great job from the city when they originally negotiated this, because at the time, the CPI was running about 3.8, 4.2, so we were only going backwards a slight bit. But now that you can see, the latest one I saw was 5.2%. So even that, we're still kind of sliding backwards off of CPI. So again, contract keeps us capped at 3% on that piece. All we can do is come back and ask for the additional pieces of the disposal or the recycling, because we have no control over those. The CPI pretty much just covers the labor, the insurance, all the normal uses of a business, but it does not take into consideration disposal or tipping fees, because those are regional, national numbers that change depending on what even region you're in and where you dispose of your trash in whatever landfill or transfer station.
My concern is we already did an original contract with increments built into it.
That's
to go
correct.
up. And then you come and ask for more, and then we give you more, and then,
But
you know, 6 or 8, 9
Right.
months later, you're gonna come back and ask for more.
Well, no,
It's
what
gonna
we'll be
a-
doing is coming back next year and take a look at it like we will this year. We'll take a look at it this next year and say, okay, if we don't have a price increase from the landfill, and we don't have a price increase from the recycling center, then the 3% would still be in play. Only if we come back as if the waste management landfill or Mark Recycling raise those rates again, next year we would have to take a look at those additional increases above the 3%. Because we can't control those. We're mandated to take those to the
Yeah, I
licensed
understand
facilities.
that.
So those are the ones that we cannot control.
It kind of defeats the purpose of doing a contract to begin with, if you can keep coming back and asking, you know, we had increases, so we need more.
Well, the contract, I agreed to the point that also the contract protects you with the 3% written into here, like I said earlier. If I came back to you and we didn't have a contract, I'd be coming back for 5.2 or 7.8, whatever that CPI was at the moment, plus these additional costs. So really, in essence, your city's done a great job, and they're saving themselves basically 4.2 or 2.2%, depending on which CPI you look at. So the contract does keep your pricing fixed to a point, but there's just certain things in our business we can't control. That's government regulations. I think everybody sitting around this room can understand that piece of it. But the landfill controls and the tipping fees, we are something we can control here.
And Kevin, do you know, and I don't know this off the top of my head, but do you know the last time that the landfill increased their prices? It had been a while.
It has been a long time since Waste Management's taken a price increase. I was with Waste Management up in 2010. We'd only raised our rates one time in the 10 years I was with them. Since then, I think they've only raised it one other time, and it was a very small increment. It's very rare. And the Mark Recycling is something we've been enjoying for the zero tipping fee for all the way back through my tenure of 18 years in this business. This is the first time we're now starting to see this. And these rates are actually, for our area, pretty competitive, because in other markets, it can be as high as $85 to $100 a ton just to process recycling. That puts, my worries is that with the current conditions of the recyclings and the market and where we're headed, is that does it make more economical sense to some of the cities to take a look at the recycling programs, and do we continue to take those potential price increases by recycling, or do we abandon recycling and put it in a landfill? That becomes a value structure that you as a city will have to decide on what you want to do environmentally as green and everything that you believe in, and that's something the city at that point has to look at. That's something we can't decide for you. All we can do is give you the options. But right now, so for me to take $55 a ton across a recycle, or pay $33 at landfill, economically, that's where your increases are coming from.
So what's the total percentage? You keep saying 3% plus the dollar and then the 36. What is the total?
I don't have my calculator in front of me. I didn't figure the total percentage. Heath, you got that up? $1.78 divided by $13.91.
I'm not today. It's $1.78 total.
Yeah, it's $1.78 total for the total increase including the 3%.
It's 12%.
Sorry, I should have had that in handy.
12%?
Yeah, so 12% total, that's with everything. So 3% is that already contracted in, the remainder are the disposal of the new fees.
And so I will say, I'll say this about it. Obviously, we have the council here. inform this, I won't be voting for that. But, I'm torn on this. We did enter a
Understood.
contract, granted, we did. The complexity of this that Kevin's brought us tonight is nothing inside of their control. I'm on the Waste Management Board. I voted for this increase at Waste Management. And the reason I did that was Waste Management was losing money on taking our garbage. Waste Management is looking at expanding in several different projects that are going on up there at the landfill, which is why they're needing an increase. As I pointed out, they haven't had an increase in several years.
Several years.
I've been concerned about this for some time with the news of what's going on with the recycling. It's well known that those other countries aren't taking it. And so what's happening to ours, there's several stories of recycling centers that it's just piling up. There's no one to buy it. We've got an ad in here. So I'm torn because we have a contract, and as you pointed out, we've beat the market on our contract. We agreed to a 3% increase, but what the economic market has done is shown a 7% increase. That's what he should be here asking for, is a 7% increase on just our normal contract. So we're beating the market 4% there. That's right. But they're needing some help. So as I was telling Jan, I'm torn on this. I know where they're coming from. I know why they're coming here with it. It's nothing against them. They're trying to stay afloat like everybody else with increasing prices that they don't have any control over. So,
Well, people that are recycling, if you did add the dollar, they could change their mind and do away with it.
Absolutely.
But if we approve the whole 12%, and most people recycling will pay the dollar, because, they're paying extra to recycle anyway.
But they're not paying a full 12% on that, sir.
No.
Yeah, on recycling, if they decide to reduce down, they're only taking the 36 cent and the 42 cents. So basically, 5% or something like that total. If you look
so
at the
that
math.
recycling $1 is
That's correct.
recycling.
Exactly.
It's
So
not-
anybody that decides.
That's what I'm saying. They can quit recycling and do away with all of it.
The problem we're having we're seeing this in we serve 7 other municipalities in the market. And the problem we're seeing for the majority is that people think they're doing the right thing by recycling. And there are some, when they don't understand what they're putting in the deal, contaminates the product, which then turns around and that not only am I paying $55 across a ton, but anything that's contaminated goes out the back of the MRF, put into a container, we haul it to a landfill, and then I pay another $33.90 on top of that. So when it's all said and done, I'm paying nearly $100 for every contaminated ton that goes into the trash.
Well, I think the first month it went in the same trash truck, didn't it?
We had some issues with that, and we fired employees for it. It's there is no break opportunity on that situation. It's been perfectly clear to everybody. If you get caught doing something, because that is not our company policy. That is not. You'll be fired immediately. We don't need that, and neither do you.
Right. And so I appreciate you putting the PowerPoint slide in there that shows where we are relative to other communities in the area.
I was going to bring that up. Even with the price increase, and the price increase that's in the chart is, if you accepted the full price increase, you're still within the guidelines of all your other communities, with the exception of a few. There's some special contractual things they do at different cities, especially with management, because they might deal with their retail, they also might deal with their biosolids. So there's different contractual situations they have with different cities on different issues.
I think we would still be the cheapest with the exception of Bentonville.
Very close, yeah. And Bentonville more or less subsidizes there because of the large amount of commercial business. Much greater than when you have that much commercial business, you can subsidize your residential rate.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you have information to educate the public what contaminate?
Yeah, actually, matter of fact, that was one of the things I was going to bring up to you as well. We're putting newsletters together right now to start getting ready to put those out. If somebody can help me with the water department, is it a postal card or is it a mailer? It's a card. So what we'll basically have to do is mail it out to every resident. Over the next 90 days, we're trying to get each community their individual piece and get that out to them and explain to them what items, again, as a reminder, We're also having magnets made up that we can provide down to City Hall, so if people want to come by and pick up a refrigerator magnet or something, put it on there. So these are all things that are currently, we're branding and redoing right now. It'll take 90 to 120 days to get it all together, but we are going to be getting the letters out. That's something we can do relatively quickly, and we don't mind paying the postage on it, because honestly, it saves us as well.
It's not gonna get better. Time's gonna be slow, that was slow, precipitated, then taking a harder stance on what they take. Asia's not buying it. It's not gonna get better. A lot of municipalities have already taken recycling off the board.
They are, and we've seen rates go as high as $8 per month for recycling in different communities in Arkansas. I think it was in the Little Rock area, they just recently passed $5. So
As far as the market coming back for it.
I hope so.
Yeah, but hope is not a plan. Right?
Nope.
It's not just China that's quit buying, everybody quit buying. So I'm torn too, but there's a certain inevitability here, isn't there? I mean, they'll operate at a loss for so long, or losing margin for so long, and
Just to give you an idea,
what's the life on the contract?
it's,
Okay.
4 more.
So, you'll postpone an adjustment, and at the end of that period, we'll talk to the other players in the game and see where we're at, and start over again. With haulers, isn't that what we're facing?
So you have a contract that can be renewed twice, in 5-year increments. When y'all did this contract, and you remember, this was not an easy decision for y'all to make. There were several meetings. Y'all worked very hard on it. I believe you've got terms of 5 years with two renewals. And y'all, in some cities, this kind of negotiation is built in the contract. You have a contract where if they need to go up, they'll bring you certain kinds of information, show that to you, and then the city council has a chance to approve that, which is pretty much automatic when they show you the information. It could be fuel, it could be rates at the landfill, tipping fees, it could be different things, and they can show that to you. We didn't negotiate that way. You all went a different route, which was you built in raises, yearly raises. And so you built those into a grid, so you sort of knew. So what you're doing now is sort of ad hoc. You're going to have to figure out a way to do that. You want to make sure that you be very clear. I think the raise, that the 3% stays where it is, but if you make another raise into your base, that's going to have to go across and redo your grid. Yeah. Which means your 3rd year, 4th year, and 5th year are going to go up as well. And then they'll go up again with your 3%, or maybe not. That's something y'all can decide. Maybe you do this raise now when you say we're not going to do, it's all basically to clear this grid out and make a new grid. And you can do that. You can renegotiate that. It'll be a little addendum to this contract is what we'll do, basically to attach a new Exhibit A.
Right.
But that's your options. You all need to decide that. And you sort of do that tonight, or you can figure that out. You can also tell the mayor, go and figure this out and give us the best deal and bring it back to us. Whatever y'all want to do.
So is it being dumped now? Are you saying, if nobody's buying the recycle, what's happening?
They're finding markets for it, but it's very difficult. A lot of times they're shipping it to receivers, and they're just putting it and storing it until they can find a market. They're selling it for a loss and just to get out of their location. So basically, the chain's just backing up on the east and west coast and filling warehouses full with the hope that cardboard will recover itself. It'll get back above $100 a ton, and everybody will start wanting it desperately, and they'll unload it all. But there's a lot of locations where plastics and everything else are now being landfilled from further down the stream, not locally. Just the end receiver ends up trashing it at some point and eating that cost. So it just, like I said, just kind of flows back to us, ripple in the pond.
Have you ever seen the movie Wall-E? Need to watch it.
Any other questions for Kevin? Any recommendations from the council?
First of all, we don't really know what we're even voting on. Like you said, that we would have to make a new chart. Because right now, I don't know what next year, the year after that, and the year after, you know.
Well, you would take the 1591 and multiply it times 3% is our annual CPI.
Right, take the 13 current rate of 1391.
Sit here,
So-
15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, so basically what would happen is we would raise, if you vote to accept what we propose to you tonight, we would raise the grid for 2019 moving forward into June, or I believe it is July of 2020. At that point, we come to you hopefully with one way or the other. We'll know if the landfill's going to increase again. We'll know if the recycling's going to increase again. If not, we just continue with the 3% increase yearly over moving forward. And we may not be having this discussion again in 2 years. It's been, like the mayor mentioned, it has been in 7, 8 years since we've ever had to have these conversations about landfill increases and recycling increases. So the recycling is the one that concerns me the most. I have a feeling that's going to be something that it's going to take years to iron out. As far as the solid waste piece of it, the trash piece of it, I don't tend to continue to see this being an annual increase, especially at this size.
So you're saying.
But
this
there
is
are,
not
again,
gonna-
there's no guarantees. I
Are you
mean,
saying it's not gonna be added every year?
no, I'm not going to go back and add this every year. This is a one-time ask for the increase, and then moving forward, it's still, we kind of go by the 3%. The language is tied to that amendment that allows only 3%, okay? So that's what we're asking for sure, is just to cross the T and dot the I to the contract. Yes, we're asking for the 3%. The other two items in the contract does give language that we can come back to you for these uncertain situations like this, only when we have them, and only with documented proof that we have them, and not just a random, hey, I need a raise. That's the 3%. That's what but you guaranteed us that you'll give us a year based on our performance. This other part is just cost pass-throughs that are hit us. We have to pass them back through to you. So it's not something you won't be coming with all these every year. It's just the CPI would be every year unless we get hit with increases again.
So you're saying for a year, we need to pay this dollar and whatever it is, 36 cents?
Yeah, we're asking for $1.78 total for if you have the trash and recycling.
For a year?
For 1 year. And then at the end of the next year, it'll go up 3% if there's no other changes.
But it don't go away.
That's what I'm asking.
Right. Well, no, it would if both, for some reason, both landfill, recycling dropped their rates considerably and the 3%. We would come back and pass that back to you. This is,
So basically, as a Joe.
Hang on. Let's keep some order. I'll get to you if you got a
Yeah.
question.
so yes, the rate is increased now, but there's nothing in the it does, in most contracts, and city attorney's looking at it, so I hope the language in there, but most of them that we have a situation where if we come back, if we get a decrease, and for some reason they lower their rates and they lower, then obviously pass it on. Otherwise, yes, you're right, it will continue just like all the other price increases.
So on their plan, Waste Management moving forward in town, are they going to acquire the surrounding property to expand?
So they don't necessarily need to acquire property. They have property. They have passed it, opening up a new portion of that.
That's underway.
Yes.
And construction now.
And part of what's going on at Waste Management is Walmart is doing a huge build. They bought large areas of land throughout Bentonville. Waste Management is scared to death of what kind of construction debris will be coming in and can they handle it. And so, yes, they have asked for, and I believe it has been approved by everyone, to do an expansion out there.
Well, the expansion was a district-wide, county-wide vote.
Yes.
So pretty low probability that next year they're going to say, you know what, guys, it's stabilized, things are okay, we'll hold where we're at, or we're going to actually back off.
It's not going that.
No, it's not.
No.
So,
Yeah, I personally don't want to send that message to you. It's only if they do, and your crystal ball is about as clear as mine right now. It's clear as mud.
There's nothing in our contract that would bring it down anyway, if it went down. And again, there's something in our contract for this that contemplates this kind of increase. You've got y'all built in your rates, so what you're doing is you're sort of renegotiating right now. That's what you're doing.
Is there any other questions on the council? If not, I'm going to open it up to the public for, I know we've got some questions out there.
So basically, for the community, you're saying that if we pay extra dollar for recycling, it's not gonna be recycled anyway.
No.
Yeah, that's what you're saying, it's not going anywhere.
Eventually it will be.
So what's the point in paying the extra dollar when you're just paying the cash anyway? It's all going to landfill eventually.
I can't speak for, I can tell you downstream that there are reports that some of the stuff, if you go back, give me an example. When I take the product across Mark Recycling, they turn around, they sort it, they separate it, they send it out to their different suppliers that will actually buy the product from them. So they have intentions. Then that's then again probably resold in different directions, and some of it's sent to recyclers. But there is amount of product that's being stored, and there's reports in California and different locations that there have been disposing of the product. Once they buy the product and they decide to get rid of the product, there's not much I can say about it. There's really nothing anybody else here can say about it.
Right.
If they buy material and say, well, at this point I'm ready to eat the cost.
Me as a consumer.
Right.
I'm gonna pay an extra dollar for nothing right now.
But you also have the choice to reduce your service and drop recycling if you don't take that program and actually save yourself that dollar.
To be clear, your dollar right now it's making the life of your landfill longer. And there's no doubt about that. Your recycling is not going into Tiny Town landfill.
No.
And if it does, we'll have a Fort Smith situation, you know. So that's not happening. Where it's going, if it goes to China, you don't care what happens to it anyway. You don't know what happens to it, you don't care. So, so right now, the dollar.
Other people out there that are listening to this are saying what I just said is, I'm paying you extra money for recycling that's not actually happening at this time.
But keep in mind how that works. So they collect it and then it is sold, much like the stock market. Somebody buys it with the idea of selling it to someone who's going to produce something out of it. And so some of that is happening, but it's not happening at the same pace that it was prior to what,
Right.
a year and a half, 2 years
and a half ago.
So don't take it as all of it is going into the landfill, but a portion of it may or may not. It's all based on who's buying and who's not buying and what's being produced, and is it cheaper to go produce these minerals out of, to get the oil and to produce our products out of that, or is it cheaper to recycle the product into?
Just a reminder, in our role here as the service provider, all we're doing is picking up from point A, delivering to point B. We have nothing in the process on that piece of it. So, again, we're just providing the service, take it from your home to the recycler. The recycler, I can tell you, is seeing product out to legitimate buyers who are buying the product. What happens downstream from there, who knows? And at this point, most people don't know.
Yeah. That's right.
As a general
Right.
rule, they're not gonna buy if they don't have a plan for it.
Well,
So
perfect
he's saying
example.
if they can't make that plan happen, then it might go.
Perfect example, I'm sorry, I just missed, YouTube, sorry about that.
Sorry,
To give you a perfect example, the recycling centers used to take plastics 1 through 7. 3 through 7s are basically your sour cream tubs, your butter tubs, some of your lower end quality plastics. They no longer take 3 through 7s. They only take 1s and 2s, which are your water bottles and your detergent bottles with screw tops. They no longer take 3 through 7s. So they've adjusted the market as they see fit too, and to eliminate those things, because once somebody's not interested in buying the product, there's no sense in them spending all the money to sort it and do all that. So that's what we collect now, and that's why that letter is going to be more important to make sure that we're doing the right thing, because a lot of people think they're doing the right thing, because anymore, anything you pick up has a recycling label on it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that item's acceptable in your market and your infrastructure that you have in place. So when you throw that into a recycling bin with other items, that creates the contamination. And then are you truly helping recycling, or you're hurting it? Even though your intentions are good and you want to recycle, by putting items that are not in your program, you're actually hurting the whole program. So you're just better off not recycling unless you do it the correct way. And that's the piece we've got to get everybody to understand, is that you've got to do it right. And there's two different parts of that triangle too, that's reuse and reduce. So those are two important items too that we got to look at as a community.
What are our numbers now?
Your numbers,
Two only.
1s and 2s only, yes, that's correct, sorry.
And so, Kevin, we're going to go ahead and we're going to figure something out with this.
Sure.
And get something
I
moving.
know we're
here.
taking a lot of your time, but I appreciate it all.
Well, and I appreciate some of the numbers you gave us. So Kevin gave us on a slide that they are currently picking up 551 tons of solid waste out of West Fork every year, an average of 26.8 pounds per household per week.
26.8 pounds.
And they are picking up 109 tons of recyclables per year, or about 12.2 pounds per household per week. And I don't know, Isaac's not here, I don't know what our current numbers, we have a recycle center in town. And I know that we gave those reports about 6 months in, once we switched to inland. Our recycling never slowed down at our other center. We weren't serving West Fork citizens. We were, but there's more people from the county using that than there were from the city. Is really, I think, maybe not. Some people don't have recycling, but
That's right.
that thing is still it's going full bore. So, but I think it is important to note how much trash a small community like West Fork generates. 551 tons. Ton is how many pounds, Misty? 2,000 pounds.
Study.
109 tons of recycling. That's so. As a council, let's put together some form of a plan. I think Kevin has submitted his proposal. We have the information. I don't think we have any more questions for him. If we do, by all means ask. But
So are we gonna discuss this between us tonight, or?
I think we need to discuss something between the council tonight. Do we tell Kevin the flat, no, get out of here, we don't want to see you in West Fork anymore? Do we tell him we'll consider it? Do we accept his proposal? We have multiple options, but let's come up with some sort of a plan to address this.
I'd like for us to wait and vote on it next month, if that's possible. So we
Okay.
can talk to people.
Well, that,
Forewarned, if that happens.
that's
I
what,
mean-
the dollar, I say, do it. Because then people's got a chance to decide whether they wanna pay that dollar or not. You know, if you wanna recycle.
Does the dollar start immediately?
We can start with the billing,
So I
West
would-
Fork billing's ready, the water department does the billing for us.
And I would
So once they're set and ready to go, that's all it is.
I would propose that we have a rate increase scheduled. I would propose that whatever we do it in one increase,
Oh,
as
yeah.
opposed to multiple, if
Yes.
that would be fine with.
So John, you talking about just for recycling?
Just for recycling, and then the 3% like our contract says.
Well, what's the other 78? What about that? What's that for?
36.
36, okay.
Yeah, there's another.
Yeah, the 36
They're
is
wanting to
what it
raise our
spells out.
trash bill an additional 36 cents per.
Besides the 3%.
Besides the 3%, so it would be 36 plus 42, which was, the 42 was built in.
That's correct.
They're wanting to add an additional 36 cents per month to the trash bill. And they're wanting to add an additional $1 per month to recycling.
And then, just on the side note, again, for those that, on the recycling side, if they choose not to recycle, they can actually reduce their bill by the dollar and only take the trash and the 3%, because you still have a drop-off center where they can still participate if they choose to do that instead of having to
Then
pay
they
for
can
recycling.
decide. But if we okay the other, then they have no choice. Either drop the whole trash pickup, or, you know, do it on their own, or pay it.
Well, they need a choice.
Yeah.
Can't drop trash pickup. Right, they have to keep trash.
They have to
Yeah.
keep the trash pickup, they
Yeah.
don't have to keep the
Yeah.
recycling.
Well, if Jan made the motion and she would like to postpone this and talk about it, you know, with
I didn't
the-
make it as a motion, but I do think that we need to. I was just making
I
a
was gonna
suggestion.
second it.
I was making a suggestion at this point.
Okay, I make a motion that we table this till next month. I make a motion that we table this until next month. And we've got time to, you know, talk about it, think about it.
Okay, we have a motion. And that motion's about to die if we don't get a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to table this discussion until next month. You got it, Jan? Okay, I just want to make sure that.
Yeah.
Okay. So all those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no.
No.
You can do roll call. Thanks for
You always look for unanimity.
All right, so let's do a roll call on it. The motion is to table this until next meeting. Misty Cottle?
Yes.
Jeff Upton?
Yes.
Jan Throckmorton? John Collins?
Yes.
Kara Hungate?
Yes.
Don Rollins?
No.
Joe Tower? Okay, motion carries 5-2.
No problem.
So, we have Kevin's contact, so that if we have questions, we can call him. I am gonna propose that we have a special meeting to discuss this.
Please.
In between now and our next meeting, so that at our next meeting, we have a plan, in place.
Okay. One last note, on a lighter note, the city well, maybe a lighter note, the city cleanup is May 10th and 11th. So from 8 to 4, is that right, Chrissy? Is when we decide on timeline for the 2 days, or?
Monday's 8 to 4, I believe Saturday
We cut off early last year. Yeah, last year we cut off a little early because the lanes were closed early and it died down pretty hard after that. So I guess time would still be Saturdays to be announced.
I've got it. I just
Okay.
haven't had it.
So the dates are still firm, 10th and 11th, so we look forward to helping get all the extra help we raised out of the city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
That's right. And Kevin, I will point out, I've talked to a couple of people who are very pleased with the service you guys are providing. And the fact that our city looks so much better with the containers around, there's not bags out for dogs to get in. So I have had several compliments, and I actually was with a lady today who said that she didn't care if it went up $5, she was happy. So,
Well, give her the.
for what it's worth. Could have led with that, yeah, sorry.
Since coming a little overnight, especially, I like to go a little depth in the things we're doing with the new trucks and these programs and stuff.
Yeah.
That'll interest everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, and I will say too, that honest to goodness, since you guys took over, I have not had to go rake up the trash that was left by the road since they took over.
Thank you for your comments. I'll make sure to pass that on.
Please do.
So let's just go ahead and do that before we move on to our next item. I would say the second Tuesday from today, what is that? Twenty-third?
23rd.
How about the 30th? I'd be off. I would have to come.
Let's work around John. John, when would you like us?
But you said the 30th. Or the 16th.
Karen, check our schedule. We'll be in Huntsville.
We need everybody here as much as possible.
The 30th will be in Huntsville.
What about the
About
16th?
16.
We can do next
I'll be
Tuesday.
gone. Next Tuesday, I'll be gone.
So we're not gonna have everyone here, and I think we're to that point. So let's,
I can make any of those.
I don't wanna do the 30th, just because that puts us, we're right up next to the next meeting.
So what about the 23rd?
Let's do the 16th or the 23rd.
23rd.
What are we? The 23rd, we're going? Yeah. The weekend, the 23rd.
So we'll do the 16th.
Just one message.
Sorry, make sure.
Have the Memorial meeting on the 16th scheduled for
Kick them
Yeah,
out.
there is a meeting already scheduled. Does it have to be a Tuesday?
It doesn't have to be.
Well, let's change it to a different day.
How about the 17th?
Can we do it like
Friday?
Can we do it on Friday,
Wednesday.
on this week, but I'll be back. Thursday night.
Mayor, you can do it on Wednesday nights, I approve the meeting here or whatever Wednesday night.
That's
Thank you,
true.
sir.
Friday night?
19th?
Thursday night. What about a Monday night? We don't have a fire meeting on, what one is our next one, chief? It's the 15th, right?
15.
Yeah, it's every other, it'll be the 15th, so that won't work.
So can we do the 22nd?
For the,
I don't, ask Kara.
The 22nd is open as Earth Day, to celebrate the earth and talk about trash.
22nd? 22nd it is.
Kara says we're available.
What time?
April 22nd.
6:30.
What day did you say again next week?
Don't bring that up now.
It's done now.
When is what?
Which day?
So 22nd, 6:30?
22nd at 6:30.
You place next Friday.
Kevin, you see what we're up against here?
Yeah.
We can't even get a meeting
I'm not
scheduled.
available any other times.
All right, 22nd at 6:30,
Okay.
a meeting to discuss this trash, all right?
We're gonna come back and talk trash.
Yeah, we're
All right.
going to trash.
So up next is item 2, conditional use permit recommendation from the planning commission to approve conditional use permit for 830 Stockburger to be used as a vacation rental, more commonly known as a Airbnb. Conditions recommended from the commission are no street signage, a written agreement between Mr. Walters and Mr. McCrane concerning parking, which is in the packet. We have that. And I'll hold off until Walter.
Yeah.
Walter, is that where the lady wanted to
It
put
is.
in the, okay, yeah, that's perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, so, well, the mayor pretty much covered it. The conditions, there weren't a whole lot. It going in a residential area, we figured this is the best way to, a residential zone, this is probably the best way to go about handling an Airbnb until maybe we probably get some new zones that might make that an allowable usage. But, right, we voted for the recommendation, and that's really about it. If you have any questions as to why we approved it, recommended it.
Any questions, concerns?
It's covered pretty well with the planning commission.
I make a motion that we accept it,
Second.
approve it.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say yes.
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 All those opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, so Christie, now that we've passed that, do we have a satisfactory method for keeping track of these conditions?
That was part of the discussion.
Well, the minutes will be put in with the file that we kept with all the application and all that, it'll be in with that. So, and we have the planning commission has their own filing cabinet that's got all those in it, so.
And so what I'm getting at is, and not necessarily in this particular instance, but the day will come when somebody calls Officer Goggins out because conditions are being broke, and Officer Goggins has no access to where our conditions are in order to enforce them. That's my concern with where we're at with conditional uses.
They can reduce that list to a list. Yes. And y'all can just put the sheriff can sign that list, put it with the city clerk. She can keep a jacket for that address. And that way, someone could look at the address and it would come back to planning commission if there was a complaint. And planning commission could fashion a remedy, and if they needed revoked, it would come through city council.
Well, that was my question before we voted, if the occupancy, like we're 5 to 7, the trash, the parking, if any of those things became a perpetual problem, we could rescind or revoke and address it in that manner. So it's not like the here and we're.
We would just do so with due process. We'd make sure they knew we were considering it. They could go, it would be planning commission, unless you guys did it through voting district, but it would be planning commission. And if they didn't like the decision of planning commission, they could come to city council.
I don't think there's a need to.
In my viewpoint.
Yeah, I think we got it. I just want to make sure that as a city, we have that information stored where it's accessible, so. Item number 3, review items to be removed from the library inventory. There's 300 items. Ms. Shannon, do you have anything you'd like to say to this? Is it more of the same, kind of like what we did last time?
More of the same, plus additional technology that did not work. They were very hard to test everything and make sure that we were withdrawing things that needed to be withdrawn, and we very much like
Did you get rid of the microfish? Do you know what a microfish is?
She probably doesn't.
So, I was approached by a department head, I won't name names, about possibly putting information on microfiche to reduce storage. Do you remember that?
You pay for the traveler's checks.
Google that tomorrow.
I'll write microfiche in my notes.
Okay. Are there any questions, concerns from anyone other than Misty about the destruction of?
Sounds to me like they
it went to her house.
And we are gonna do some at the Easter thing, right?
If we can, yeah, and they've already given it to the school and they were very appreciative, so we're trying to disperse evenly and where people will read and need those, so, yeah.
So can we get a motion that puts that in it, Misty?
Yes, I'll
along
make
with
the
the
motion.
Okay, so
I'll second.
a motion to remove the items from the library inventory.
And any kids stuff we're gonna take down there and try to give away.
Okay,
Right? Easter.
we have a motion. Did we get a second?
I did.
Okay. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 4 is our resolution 2019-03. Nick, would you explain this?
Sure. It's just one of the requirements with the EPA loan. We have to pass a formal resolution adopting the facility plan, which is basically the report that I spoke to a couple weeks ago at the public hearing that presented the alternatives we looked at and the analysis, the cost, environmental and all that, and came to the recommended alternative of connecting the sewer system to Fayetteville. So one of the requirements in our final report is we have to have a copy of that resolution that council approves and adopts the facility plan, that recommended alternative.
Do we have any questions concerning this?
That was the most economical path forward.
Yes. And not only in one dimension?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion concerning the resolution?
Adopt resolution number 2019-03.
I'll second.
We have a motion and second. Let's do a roll call. Misty Cottle?
Yes.
Jeff Upton?
Yes.
Jan Throgmorton?
Yes.
John Collins?
Yes.
Kira Hungate?
Yes.
Don Rollins?
Yes.
Joe Tower?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item D of our agenda, the mayor's comments. So Christie has helped with a remodel of the website to make it mobile phone or tablet friendly. I hope everyone has had a chance to try it.
Soon as I read it,
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? It's quick, it's easy to move through it with your phone. I loved it. I also wanted to make everyone aware of it's Child Abuse Awareness Week. We have our pinwheels up and our banner at the four-way stop. And I cannot remember her name. She's going to try to get me the statistics. So they worked roughly 850 cases in Washington County over the past year. They have that broken down by zip code. And I was curious how many of those cases came out of West Fork. She did let me know that, of course, Fayetteville, Springdale are the two main ones. So, but she's supposed to be getting those statistics to me, and when she does, we'll distribute that out just so you guys are made aware of what is going on in our community as far as child abuse children. So, and that's all I have. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make it.
Motion is second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries.